Mother Lori. Lori, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you very much.
Awesome, sweet. Okay, one more time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, this is one of those wonderful success stories that we love to share after we've been sitting here for the last two plus days crying and listening to some sad stories. But it was a very long road to get to that success story, was it not?
Absolutely. Our story is a pretty unique one, and it's been on the road, shared with a lot of other families. Allie is a surprise baby. I'm a two-generation mom. I have a 29-year-old, 25-year-old, and Allie's 12. And she truly is a blessing. And she was born with a rare liver disease called alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency. Her pediatrician noticed it at her 12-month checkup that her liver was enlarged and said, you know, let's do an ultrasound and see what's going on. So they did an ultrasound and came back normal, and my pediatrician was a little bit on the concerned side and said, you know, let's have her back at 15 months and we'll recheck her belly because it's so big. So we went back at 15 months and her pediatrician said, well, it's still not looking good. I think we need to do some more testing. Repeated the ultrasound and realized that she had some sort of liver disease going on. It was her stomach was protruded, and so she was referred to this wonderful hospital, the UW hospital. At that time, American Children's wasn't quite there yet because this was in 2000. So at the age of 15 months, she was seen by a liver specialist in the Children's Hospital, and after 16 tubes of blood over 3 days, because she was 2 years old at the time. So we had to spread it out and do it over 3 days. And if you've ever seen an exorcist child, that was Allie. She screamed and hollered when she had to have her blood drawn. It took 4 people, 1 on each arm and each leg to hold her down.
Ellie, are you that strong? Really? Big a muscle. Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Yes, she is.
And so, fortunately, they took the blood tests and sent them all over the United States as well as here in Wisconsin. And on March 25th, we got a phone call from the liver specialist at the UW. And he said, Lori, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is we know what's wrong with your baby. She's got a rare liver disease called alpha-1 antitrypsin. The bad news is your baby could die.
That's quite the good news, bad news call.
That was horrible. But, you know, he said at some point in her life she's going to need a liver transplant. It could be today, could be tomorrow, could be years from now. And there's no really way of knowing when it's going to happen. But
I'm sorry for interrupting.
No.
Did he indicate that there's a very good chance she could die before she gets the transplant?
Right, because
Okay.
there's always the issue of finding a matching time. I mean, 19 people die every day waiting for a transplant, and she could have easily fallen into that category. So that's why they said your baby could die, meaning we might not get a liver transplant in time.
So basically, were you having to wait until her liver failed?
Right, because you have to wait until your liver or your organ is really to the point of within days of death before you can get it, because it's based on need.
Right.
And there's over 100,000 people waiting for organs today, and only the sickest ones are moved up to the top of the list, and those are the ones that hopefully will find a match in time.
Real quickly, if you are a proponent for organ donation, if I can please say this,
absolutely. Yes.
please don't forget to put that on your driver's license, because, you know, my son took this bumper sticker that I had and asked me if he could have it. I still don't know why. He was very little, but it said, it was about leaving your organs here. Heaven knows we need them here.
Right, don't take your organs to heaven.
Heaven knows we need them here. And he was like 5. He said, can I have that? And I said, yes. And he wanted it. I loved it. Yeah.
Actually, there's even one step further, if I can promote organ donation. Is that we have a new website, or the UW has come up with a new website called Yes I Will Wisconsin, and you just go and sign up, and that way if you don't have your driver's license with you, or if you're not around and your license, anyways, it's just a national way of everyone knowing that you are an organ donor, and no one has to wait and to find that information out. They can just look it up immediately and they can go from there.
Great idea.
If anyone else needs a great reason to support organ donation, just go to our webpage after they post Allie's picture, and that's the perfect billboard right there.
Absolutely.
This young woman wouldn't be here if it wasn't for somebody being kind enough to check yes on organ donation on their driver's license.
Yes, absolutely. So back to my story. At 15 months, we were told this horrible news, and we were told that she'd have to be watched now every month between her pediatrician and the liver specialist. They would just keep an eye on her liver, and basically her liver was having cirrhosis, and I'm sure all of you've heard of that. Usually you think about it as alcoholism. Well, 2-year-olds aren't alcoholics, at least my daughter wasn't. But her liver was failing, and at October 12th of 2001, she crossed the line. And they'd always told me that if she started vomiting blood or blood in her stools, she needed to be med-flighted to the UW hospital.
Now that is a very significant date, October 2001. That was a month after 9/11.
Exactly.
And that, believe it or not, comes into play in the story. And this
Absolutely.
is, you know, kind of like a, oh, of course, sign of the times type thing. But why don't you go ahead and share that, because this must have been, are you kidding me?
Yeah, this is a, I can't believe this is happening story. So October 12th, she started vomiting blood. We did not have to med flight her. Fortunately, we were able to take her by ambulance to the UW. And here's a plug to American Family Insurance. That particular day, you had an anthrax scare, and so the UW hospital had set up wind tunnels and everything for anthrax. And so we were going to be diverted not to come to UW hospital. We were told that they couldn't take Allie, and we had to go maybe to Chicago, to the next possible transplant center.
Your daughter's liver is failing.
And she's vomiting blood, and she's full. I'm scared to death, and I'm hearing that the ambulance can't arrive here, and I was just a basket case.
Okay, now think about that. First of all, Mom had to wait until her daughter's liver was absolutely positively failing.
With the instructions that, you know what, she could die anytime.
Right, so you did what you were told. Now you know is the time. Now you're in the ambulance, and they're saying, you can't come here.
I can't come here. Yeah, I said, she has to come to the UW hospital. She has to come here. Her doctors are here. All her tests are here. Everybody knows her. Her pediatrician had called ahead of time saying she's on her way.
I'm just curious, when did they tell you that, oh, by the way, we're going to Chicago? Is that something that they
we were going down University Avenue, actually.
Unbelievable.
The dispatcher, the ambulance dispatcher, was talking to the dispatcher here at the ER, and he said, you can't bring her here, you can't bring her here. And it's like, no, we have to come here. My daughter's life depends on this. We don't have a choice.
You know, you're smiling now, and it's kind of a story I'm sure you've told plenty of times, but
exactly.
I mean, I can't imagine crying, screaming, enraged. Which one? All the above?
You know, I guess I have a strong faith, and I just knew somehow this was going to work out, and they were going to get. Allie was going to be there somehow, some way. And
you probably would have carried her yourself. I'm pretty sure.
Well, fortunately, you know, we were down University Avenue. By the time we got to the corner where Highland is, where you normally turn, the dispatcher from the ER said, "You can bring her," and it was like, thank you, God. And so we turned the corner, and I was just so happy to see that emergency room. I practically kissed everybody that was there.
Hell hath no fury more than an insistent mother.
Yes. I just had the vision of, in terms of endearment, of Shirley MacLaine's character. I give my daughter the shot. I totally saw you being that way right there. Absolutely.
So we got here. They were expecting her, and then they started the beginning of what was a really big roller coaster. She was in the emergency room for 3 to 4 hours trying to stabilize her, and then she was taken right away up to the ICU unit. The next day they did surgery. They went down her esophagus to stop the bleeding in her liver, and that seemed to work, but then a couple days later they noticed that she had a hole in her esophagus. And so while she's in ICU, while she has monitors on her, they came in and they said, Lori, we're going to have to take her. We've got to do some repair. I said, okay. So they literally, just like on television set, took all the monitors, threw them in the bed, and ran her down the hall. All the doors were flying open, and they were running her to the operating room. So off she went. 3 hours later, they came back, and they said, well, I think, you know, life, it's going to be okay, but an adult would have died within 48 hours, but Allie's going to make it.
Wow.
Why would an adult have died quicker than a small child?
You know, I'm not really sure. It's just that being able to repair it, I think, is the big issue.
Sure. We've done too much damage to ourselves already.
Maybe that's it. I couldn't tell you. All I know is I remember those words and thinking, thank you.
But we have a theory about that children are tougher than we are. I mean, you see that every day in this hospital.
Yes.
Now, Allie, you're listening to your mom tell that story, and I know that you've heard that story. I mean, obviously you remember none of this. I think hearing about that day that your mom experienced, I think the most fitting thing to do right now would be to tell your mom Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
That's awesome. And now she's bright red, so
Yes.
I don't is there anything else you want to say? I mean, you don't remember those times, and you were at the old hospital, but I'm sure you've had plenty of appointments here since then.
Yeah.
You can tell us what a special place is. Can you just tell us a couple of your favorite things about the American Family Children's Hospital?
It's awesome. The place ever. It's really cool because like the building has like kind of like a fake movie theater.
Sure.
And then it has like a gift shop where you can give presents and stuff. It's really when you can give, like you buy something and then you can give it to the person in the hospital.
Isn't that great? When you hear Mom talk about that a doctor said that you could have died, does that scare you at all?
No.
No, because of this place, probably, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your favorite? I was just going to ask you because you like to do a lot of stuff. You are an active young lady,
Yeah.
and you like.
What? I think you're trying to say hip hop dancer.
Yes, I am.
You're a hip hop dancer. Can you bust a move for us right now? Yo, bust a move. Yeah, sorry. I just mortified her.
Yeah, exactly.
And everybody else here.
You play the piano, you swim, you
Yeah.
do all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Is she held back at all by this? At all? Nothing. Wow, that's awesome.
What about school? You doing good at school? You're doing all your homework?
Yeah.
Promise?
I do.
All right.
Okay.
Allie, we're very glad to see you. You've got a $1 million smile, and I really appreciate you talking to us and letting us hear your story. Thank you very much. We're glad that you're here. We're glad that somebody said, please let them get to the hospital. And you got to
Yeah.
get to the hospital. Okay. Thank you very much. Lori, you as well. Thank you for sharing your story. I know
Yes,
you've,
thank
again,
you.
told it a million times, but it's very important.
It is.
Yes, absolutely. And please, please, please donate. I mean, it's the most worthiest cause you could ever give to. And my daughter is living because of the people here in this hospital. And I can't say enough about everyone here, all the way from the parking attendants to the housekeepers. Child Life has done wonders. The staff is so special that I just pray and hope that you guys all recognize how lucky we are to have this right here in our Madison city.
And I will say one more thing about the staff here. The CEO comes to our broadcast all the time, and she'll stand in the back, and she's just so loving, and she's a mom, but she's also the boss. And it's usually you see a boss come around, everyone's like, oh, best behavior, best.
Right.
She runs such an unbelievable staff here, and they love her too. It goes from the top right down to the bottom. It's unbelievable.
And not just that, before she had left to go to a big meeting, she left $1,000 check.
Awesome.
All right. Let's hear it.